Hello everyone, welcome to 3ddesignacademy.com. In this lesson, we will continue with part 6 of the Lamborghini Aventador project. Okay, so I'm just going to continue on from the previous lesson and continue to work on the body side. So we've established some of the surfaces over here. I think everything looks pretty good. And I think I'm just going to do an intersect over here. Also make sure that this line is good. So looks like it needs to be pretty straight, which it is. So I'm pretty happy with that. And now let's go ahead and establish more surfaces down here. So as you can see in the picture from this, there is a little bit of section that pops out and looks like it's connecting back to this surface. So I'm going to try to establish that. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to project a curve from here. So I'm just going to go ahead and project a curve like this, and that's going to be a basis for this one. So I'm just going to, let's see, I'm going to grab these two surfaces, I'm going to project, and well, maybe the break's not as severe as I thought they were. Well, there's definitely a break. Well, I don't think it's as bad as what I have right now. It's kind of concerning. So if that's the case, here's what I can do. I can just pull everything out. So I do think, actually, let's find out where the break is supposed to be. I think it's somewhere around here, which is a little bit below, a little bit after the, I think it's probably somewhere in the middle of the side mirror, which means actually I have this quite well established. Although if the angle's a little bit too severe, let's compare to that one. Yeah, I definitely do think that I need to bring this out a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to fix this a little bit. So I'm just going to bring this out just, well, maybe that was a little bit too much. So I'm just going to bring it out like that. Now, I think we are starting to deviate from the canvas just a little bit, but I think this is definitely necessary in order to get a little bit more similar to what we have. Okay, so right now this is the place that I need to place it at, but I don't think I can. Oh, there we go. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the stretch tool to snap it over here, and let's compare the angle. That's much softer. Yeah, I think that's going to work out much better than before. I think this is definitely something that I can work with, especially with the fillet. So I would say that's good. And that means, unfortunately, we do have to reestablish these. So I'm just going to delete the curve and surfaces over here, and I'm going to actually delete these ones. However, I do want to keep the depth. So I think I'm just going to mark it with a curve like this. And I'm just going to delete these over here. And I'm going to go ahead and grab these two curves like this. And I'm just going to move the pivot over here. And again, same thing, I'm just going to rotate it out. So it just needs to be similar. It doesn't need to be exact. I would say that's good enough. And we don't even know if that's supposed to be the right place. But yeah, if need be, we can always make refinements. Okay, so I'm just going to extend this back so that it connects right here. These surfaces I can just leave as is, but this one I'm just going to do a more rail. Well, actually, well, there's a little break over here, so maybe I can just do a rail and just keep it as is. If I think the break is too severe, I can always try to flatten it as it goes towards the bottom. So I'm just going to, again, from the side view, let's go ahead and actually, you know what? I think here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy and paste this curve over here. I'm going to hide all the curves because I don't want them cluttering my modeling window. I'm going to extend this just a little bit so that I can extend this surface as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to grab, which curve am I going to grab? Okay, there we go. I'm going to grab this curve. I'm going to grab this curve over here, and I'm going to project. Maybe that was too long. So let me just bring it back, and I'm just going to trim. And again, rail. We're going to connect it over here like that. And let's go ahead and reproject this curve that I have made. And let's see how the break is. Okay, so I do think the break is, while not bad, I think they could be a little bit flat. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rotate this out. So I'm just going to rotate it. Oh, wait, is that the right way? Let's see. Yes, that was the right way. So I'm just going to do that. And what that'll allow me to do is rotate this. And actually, you know what? Unfortunately, oh, actually, here's what I can do. Now, right now, there are a lot of spans, but it's got history. So I don't want to use a line and delete the history. So what I can do is I can just turn the isoparm off so that I can take a better look at this. And while I'm at it, I'm just going to get rid of that curve like that. There's definitely a break, but it's more subtle. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a rotation here, maybe 3, even 3. And maybe this one I'm going to, well, actually, this is going to be dependent upon, oh, well, actually, that might help. Looks like there's a little bit of angle. This is going to be dependent upon how this is going to be established. So maybe I should not make a haste judgment, and I'll try to establish some of the surfaces before I try to do that. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I am going to duplicate this curve. Actually, you know what? While I'm at it, let me just make this back to 0. And I'm going to, well, that's not good. I'm going to just do a fit curve like this. And I'm going to pop this out. So I'm just going to say delete construction history over here. And I'm going, let's take a look at this picture. I know there's quite a bit of gap, and well, I don't need that anymore. Okay, so it looks like there's a little bit of gap. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this down like that. And I do have to be aware of this one. So let's go ahead. How many mils did I bring it down? I'm just gonna move it back up, and well, 8 mils. Yeah, let's make it a even 8. So I'm just going to enter 0, 0, minus 8. Oops. I'm gonna say relative R over here. 0, 0, minus 8, like this. Okay, and I'm going to extend it just a little bit so that we hit that point. And I'm just going to bring it out. Oh, using my middle mouse button. I definitely do think that we need to clean this up, but for now, I think I'm just going to use it like that. And I'm going to do the same thing for this curve as well. And I'm just going to delete the construction history over here. I'm going to snap over here. I'm going to snap over here. And that's going to be the basis. Actually, you know what? I think I might want to establish, well, let's do this one first. Okay, so we have the curve over here. I do think that we need to flatten it a little bit. But I also think at the same time we need to establish some of the surfaces here before we get to any of these. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to create a rail. Same thing, just a simple monorail. And that's going to be the basis for this surface over here. Now let's go ahead and let's see, I'm just going to extend this piece over here, and I'm just going to create a curve over here like this, and looks like there's a line that's going all the way through. So I want to make sure that I establish that line as well, somewhere like that. Okay, that's good. And I'm just going to do project over here as well. I'm going to trim. And now I might have to do a little bit of rotation on this. I do think that it's going a little bit more inboard than is necessary, but we'll see. Okay, so that is not bad, but let's go ahead and grab this curve over here. I do think I need to bring this. Actually, I think this is supposed to be just one flat. So, which means I'm going to go ahead and establish a curve over here based on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this curve over here. Actually, by duplicating it, I think that actually might be easier to manipulate. So I'm just going to snap it over here, and I'm just going to use the stretch curve. I don't know why sometimes stretch curve breaks down, but whatever. Okay, so I'm just going to snap it over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete this one, and I'm actually going to delete this surface as well. And this curve over here, because I think it is supposed to be just all lined up, well, we're going to be cutting it anyway. But as you can see over here, all the wheel flat sort of disappears into same curves. And I think I need to establish the same curve in over here to make this straight as well. So I'm just going to do that over here. So I'm just going to delete, yeah, construction history, delete, that's fine. I'm going to snap it over here like this. Oh, why is it like that? Okay, so that's good. And I'm going to use a square to build this one. That's good. And I'm going to go ahead and build this one with the bi-rail. So it's going to be 1 and 2. Like this. And I'm going to use the curve segment to bring this a little bit back, because I don't want this to be distorted. Okay, and I'm just going to use the project like this, and I'm going to trim, and I'm also just going to do a rail for this one like that. Now we have this surface established, but the thing is it does rock in a little bit, and I just want to make sure that it's how much angle I have to push in. And as you can see, well, I think I want to get a different view. There we go. Okay, so it looks like it's rocking in quite a bit. So what I want to do is go back over here. I'm just going to use this one to push in a little bit. Now I'm not quite sure how much it needs to be. So, that'll all depend on how this is established. So I'm just going to push it in like this, and let's just make sure the angle's good. Now I know it's going all the way through, but I think this one we need to adjust the line a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually, why don't I just make my life a little bit easier and just extend this curve like that. Okay, so now it's going to tell us how much we need to pop it in or pop it out. Okay, so that's a good spot for me to stop. That actually needs to meet this surface or this curve or whatever you guys want to call it. So which means I need to bring this out quite a bit, and that's going to tell me where this needs to be. And let's just take a look. Yes, okay, so I probably want to bring that out a little bit, and I don't think it's got that much volume, so I think I'm going to go ahead and reduce the volume as well, like this. Now I do need to reestablish this, but for now I think I'm just going to leave it. This curve I can delete, and this line is not bad, but I do need to trim it. So I'm going to just grab a curve over here, and I'm going to just trim it like that, and I'm just going to say keep, say that's good. And now let's go ahead and establish some of these features as well. Okay, so I'm going to start with trimming this feature over here. I'm going to just trim this curve. Oh, oops, trim this one. So let's go back to Alias. Okay, so this is actually the bottom edge. So I'm going to establish a curve here, and I'm going to just snap a curve over here, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of crown this way, and I'm just going to project like this, and let's go ahead and trim. So basically this is going to tell us where things need to be. And actually, while I'm at it, let me just maybe I should have brought the top view back. Now I do need to sort of gauge how deep this needs to be. So let's go ahead. I don't know if this is supposed to be parallel, so I'm going to bring the top view back, and hopefully that'll give us a clue as to how deep that needs to be. So I'm just going to bring back the top view. Well, from what I can see, it looks like it's going a little bit more outboard, which our curve is actually doing. So that's not too bad, but I do feel like it's going a little bit more outboard, a little bit more. So I think I'm going to go ahead. Oh, it's this curve that I have over here. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to, well, you know what? I think I'm just going to establish a flat curve for now. So I'm just going to stop here, and this is the one I use to project. I'm just going to snap that one over there, and I'm going to see if this, okay, so it looks like it's pretty straight. It's going a little bit inboard, but this is probably a good spot for that. And I'm just going to delete this one for now because we are in no longer need of that. Okay, so I'm going to pull the surface out. Let's see, where is the control? Oh, there we go. I'm just going to pull it out a little bit to meet that one, at least. And I'm just going to make sure from the top view, yeah, it's still going in. And I'm going to give it a little bit less crown. Okay, so that looks good. It's a little bit short here. Just going to extend this just a little bit more. Okay, so I think that looks good. And now I'm going to establish this back too. So using the stretch tool, I'm just going to snap it back like this. Okay, so we got the surface over there. And now I'm going to see if I can, well, let's go ahead and take a look at the picture. I wish this was just one single surface, one straight line, instead of having this bend in the middle, because that makes it just a little bit more complicated than what I would actually prefer. But it's fine. We still need to establish this little bend over here. It looks like a surface is rocking in, so we got to be aware of that also. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. The surface here looks not bad. I probably want to pull it out just a little bit more. So I'm just going to grab this one and I'm just going to pull it out like that, so that at least from the top view, they somewhat match up like that. And I think this, yeah, I think that's getting closer. So, well, you know what? I'm going to try to hit the canvas image. Hopefully it's correct. All right, so I would say that's good. And I'm just going to reposition this one like that. And what I'm going to do is this curve is for the bottom one. Okay, so I can just snap it over here. Now the only thing is I do need a little bit of bend. So what I'm going to do is, well, let's see. I don't need this to be located over here. So first of all, let me just delete this one because that's not the correct curve. So that's good over here, but that needs a little bend. Oh, wait. What did I connect? Okay, so let me just redo this. I'm just going to connect the curve from here to here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull this out. The duplicated curves, I'm just going to pull it out so that there's a little section, but not too much. I think that should be okay. So basically, this is just comparing the straight edge to a curve, or the break within the curve. And I'm going to just copy and paste this one because they're supposed to be the same section. And I'm going to just paste it over here. And now what we can do is I'm going to establish this surface over here, this light catcher. So, well, actually this needs to be a little bit outboard too. So I'm just going to do that. And let's go ahead and create a curve. I'm going to just make it nice and straight, give it a little bit of crown. And I'm just going to rotate it from the front view using my left mouse button to rotate about the x-axis. And I'm just going to do a rail over here. Now this is going to give us a clue as to how bent it needs to be, or how flat. So I'm just going to compare it to this section, but that's coming a little bit later. Before that, let me just do this. You see that there's quite a bit of bend, so what I'm going to try to do is make this a little bit flatter. Okay, so looks like that needs to be, I'm just going to lower this quite a bit. I wish there was a graphic, some kind of graphical reference. Okay, so from the side view, looks like it's supposed to go to here. Let me see if I can grab a different. Yeah, I think that's about right. Let me see if I can grab a different side view image and just confirm that that's how it needs to be. Yes, it definitely dives down because of the change in surface, but I do feel like that's a good target for me to reach. So let's see. So in order to do that, it needs to be somewhere over here. So I'm just going to project. Oh, actually, you know what? Why don't I just make a surface? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to establish this one over here. So I'm going to grab a curve here. I'm going to just do that. Make sure it's about the size. Okay, so I'm just going to pop it over here so that it matches. I'm going to grab this curve. All right. And I'm just going to make sure that there's no rotation. I'm going to use the stretch tool to pop it out just a little bit. And I'm also going to do that so that we add a little feature on the top. Now it's not matching it over here, but this is just a quick surface. Well, actually, you know what? Why don't I just try to make this right? So instead of using this curve as the gen curve, I'm just going to be using this one, and I'm going to use this one. And now I'm going to use the curve segment to pull this over here, and I'll use this curve in order to trim. And I'm going to just trim over here like this, and make sure that it looks good from, well, I think I need to pull it a little bit this way. I'm going to pull it this way, pull it this way, so that that looks a little bit better. And I probably need to do that. I do think I need to cut this one, but right now I'm just trying to establish this position as a primary target. So I'm just going to do that. Oh wow, it's actually rising up quite a bit. So if that's the case, let's go ahead and do an intersect between this one and this one. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this one up a bit. And what I can do, right now the surface is a little bit short, which is fine. Oh, well, actually, I can just extend this curve, so that's not a problem. And I'm going to extend this piece over here so that it intersects all the way through. And it looks like I'm pretty close. Now, because this is just, it doesn't need to be super exact. It just needs to be close enough. I think I'm just going to raise, oh, actually, this is the point that I need to meet, isn't it? Okay. Well, I'm not quite sure. I don't think it's, well, it's close, but yeah, I think, well, I think I'm gonna want to lower it a little bit. And I do think, yeah, why don't I just stop it right there? I would say that's good enough. And now you'll see that there's quite a difference between this angle and this angle. This is of course a flatter. So what I can do is I can just rotate it, rotate out a little bit. Well, maybe that was a little too much, to make sure that that appears a little bit flatter than before. Okay, so I would say that's good. And now let's establish some of the surfaces over here. So I'm going to go ahead and, well, let's first of all turn that off. Okay, so I think, let's see. There's a surface that needs to be established over here. I think I'm just going to use this section over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, let's turn that off for now. Okay, so the edge is supposed to be over here. Maybe I should have done it this way. Well, I don't think it really matters. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to extend this curve a little bit just to make sure that it trims. And I'm going to just make this flat. So I'm pretty happy with the location. Maybe I'll just extend it just a little bit. I'm just going to extend it just a little bit, and what I'm going to do is whatever this point is, I'm just going to make a straight line over here like this, and I'm just going to use that to project. And it looks like it's a little bit short, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to extend this just a little bit over here so that it's going all the way through. And I'm just going to say yes, and I'm just going to trim. And for this flat surface over here, I'm just going to be using this edge so that we have a consistent edge to play with, so that it meets nicely over there. Now the angle over here doesn't really matter, so I will say this is pretty good. So we got a little bit of gap over here. The surfaces seem to be working well. We will be adding a fillet over here, so I do think, well, I think with the fillet over here, I think it's going to be okay. All right, so I think this is a pretty good spot to stop. So that's it for part 6. We will continue in the next tutorial, and thank you guys for watching.